Hey guys, Wade Paquin with WKP Construction. Have you ever heard the term pre-construction services? Stay with me and I'll explain to you how it works. On this episode, I wanted to follow up to a previous episode where I talked about free estimates versus paid proposals. If you haven't seen that episode, you can check it out right here on the Build Show Network. It's on my channel. It would be good to check that out and get my opinion on the difference between the two. And it's a great segue into the topic of this episode, pre-construction services. When I started to get away from providing those free estimates and getting paid for proposals, it was really not only a game changer, but it transitioned how we were approaching projects, and that really developed our pre-construction services. I talked about in that previous episode how it is next to impossible to price a project without detailed drawings and specifications, right? As a builder, I need information. The more information I have, the more accurately I can price a project. I need detailed architectural drawings, detailed structural drawings, project specifications, project manual. I want all the information so I can give you accurate pricing. Without that, it's hard to do. And oftentimes we get what's called a pricing set. It should really be called a budget set. A pricing set is lacking information. There's oftentimes no project specifications, very little information on the drawings. It's handed out to builders to get a sense of what the project might cost before the client wants to incur more cost with the architect to develop the drawing set. But how can we as builders provide accurate pricing? We can give budget guidance, that's one thing, that's totally different. But how can we accurately price a job when we don't have the information? All we can do is provide budget guidance. The way I interpret a project, the materials I use might be completely different from the builder down the street who's using less quality materials, he's cutting corners, and his pricing is going to be way lower. So it's very confusing for a client to pick a builder with that system. So that is typically evolves into what's called the competitive bidding system that as I said in the previous episode, I'm a firm, strong believer that the design, bid, build system is a broken system. So what system works? The pre-construction system, I believe, is the golden ticket to a successful project. So what is pre-construction? Pre-construction allows us as a builder to collaborate with the client, an architect, and oftentimes an interior designer early on to develop the scope of work with the budget, hand in hand. Imagine putting the budget and the scope of work in a funnel and making it come together beautifully. That is how pre-construction should work, and that's how we strive to make it work. When we have the opportunity to work that closely with the client, understand their needs, their wants, their goals, their expectations, and help guide the architect through design with actual costs of what that will cost in the field for labor and materials, we can get this thing to come together. So we want to be on board early. How early? We want to be involved in what's called schematic design phase. That's a phase where the architect has some input from the client on the type of home or addition or renovation they want, and they might have some elevation views, some floor plans, no CAD drawings at this point, and it allows us as a builder to work with the architect to provide constant budget guidance through their process to help keep the design and the scope of work on budget with what the client is willing to spend on the project. So how do we get on board with that? How does a client hire us? We just ask for a retainer, and that retainer covers our time to provide that proposal. Since we're getting the retainer, we're getting paid. So there's your paid proposal component. The time involved to put a detailed proposal together could range from 100 hours to 300 hours, depends on the size of the project. That's mostly covering time to estimate the job, do takeoffs, send the plans and things out to our vendors and subcontractors and have meetings. It covers our time. And if we don't get the job, we're paid for the proposal, and we go our separate ways. That's never happened. Every time we're engaged for pre-construction, we provide a proposal, we roll right into construction. So that's generally how that process works. And through the proposal process, we can provide different options for the client, right? If a client says, you know, I really would love high-end finishes, I just don't know if I can afford them, fine, we can give you a budget column for those high-end finishes and selections. We can do one for, you know, mid to upper range or mid-range, so you can see where costs are and treat it like a shopping cart. You can pick out the things that are important, right? The needs and the wants of a column, of a project. The needs are typically for a client, I wouldn't do this project unless I had this. They need that. And then there's the wants. If there's room in the budget, you know, I would love this. So we try and take some wants and put them in the need column to make sure we're providing the client with as many of their wish list items as possible. So it's a great system. It works very well. The process builds trust. It streamlines the time it takes to break ground much sooner than the traditional design, bid, build process. And most importantly for me, it leads to a successful project outcome. So much work in pre-construction goes in before the project breaks ground. I always tell clients it's better to get all this stuff dialed in now instead of later to avoid delays and a slew of other things. So if you're a homeowner or an architect in my area, in Rhode Island area or Southern New England, and you want to learn more about our process or chat about a future project, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk with you. My email is simply wade@wkpconstruction.com, or give me a call here at the office, 401-619-3909. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon right here on The Build Show.